Hey guys, it's Kristen here with Find Your Balance Dog Training. Tonight, Bruce and I are working on an out command and also some resource guarding protocol. So something that I find is pretty common with dogs coming out of the shelter system is that it takes a while for all of their behavioral struggles to kind of rise to the surface. Very often when a dog is in the shelter system, he's quite overwhelmed by all the changes that are happening in his life. And so you don't get a true read on who the dog is when you adopt him. Luckily, Bruce is got the most fantastic owners in the world who prioritize not only his training but also the safety of their family. So they literally picked Bruce up from adoption and drove him straight to training and spent probably less than 2 hours with him so far because their priority was not on, their own emotions, their own feelings about the process, which, believe me, when you adopt a dog is quite a roller coaster. Their priority was on Bruce's well-being, Bruce's behavior, Bruce being polite, obedient, well-mannered, and most importantly, Bruce being a safe dog to be around their family. I'm absolutely in love with Bruce's owners for this because quite often when people adopt a dog, they really miss the mark. They prioritize their emotions, hugging on the dog, permissiveness, privileges, and the dog is already in a very unbalanced state and he's struggling, and all that permissiveness makes it so much worse. So with Bruce's case, though, we are avoiding all those problems by being able to address all the problems as they crop up immediately. And over the last few weeks, Bruce has slowly been showing me his areas of struggle. And one of them 2 days ago was resource guarding food. So Bruce has been resource guarding food from humans and other dogs in the past based on what I've seen so far. So what we're doing is correcting those moments of resource guarding and then building all kinds of safety protocols around food and valuable resources so that we have hands-off ways of getting Bruce to disengage mentally and physically should he be close to a valuable resource. And also so that we can build in, moments that we humans can intervene, we can make corrections, we can set the stage for safety. And we're also going to be removing opportunities in the future for Bruce to make poor choices around food. So when a dog has been practicing a bad, dangerous behavior like resource guarding, it's not something we're going to erase from his memory. We're not going to make the dog forget how to do that. Even after we spend a lot of time correcting it, very often, given the opportunity, the perfect storm of events, if we humans get complacent or negligent and the dog has an opportunity to guard something valuable, they will go back to that behavior. So what we want to do in training is take that bad behavior and sort of put it into remission. We want to teach that dog that that behavior is no longer going to be tolerated. Our expectation is that he is not going to do that, and if he does, he's going to have consequences for doing something like resource guarding, and then we are going to always remove opportunities for dogs to resource guard. And that is our resource guarding protocol. So some of the things that we do with resource guarding dogs is we make sure that their crate is in a private place, that small kids and other animals, they can't walk up to the crate. We make sure that we always feed the dog in the crate with the door closed and latched. We follow the resource guarding dog feeding protocol. We don't allow the dog to have any kind of valuable resource like a bone, his meals or any kinds of treats. We don't allow those things outside the crate. And when the dog is enjoying his meals, his treats, his bones in his crate, we make sure that nobody approaches it. We leave him alone. Because we want to create a safe space for the dog where he is free to enjoy his meals, his treats, his bones without being harassed or pressured by anybody or feeling the need to have to resource guard. So what you see me doing here in these last few moments with Bruce was one of our feeding protocols where I am using the food bowl as a means to help him learn about impulse control around food. So I held the bowl up, had the dog sit, and I slowly lowered the bowl to the ground. Anytime the dog makes a move toward the dog, I simply pick the bowl up. I say no. And then I repeat the process. So our goal is to be able to place the bowl down on the ground in front of the dog, and he holds his impulse control and waits for an explicit invitation from the human to go ahead and enjoy his meals. So during training, you see me doing it here in the kitchen. In real life, we're never going to feed a dog like Bruce in an open space like this. We're going to feed him in his crate, but we're going to follow this same protocol. So here we go again with the feeding protocol. You can see every time he kind of makes a move towards it, I simply pick it up. I say no. He's getting a little impatient here because he's very, very food motivated. And I wait until I get that courteous moment before I release him to enjoy his food. As soon as we say break and let the dog have their food, what we're going to do is close and latch the door of his crate, and we're going to walk away and leave him completely alone. Some of the things we are never going to do to dogs, whether or not they resource guard, we're never going to put our hands in the dog's food bowl. We're never going to put our hands in the dog's mouth and take things out. We're always going to use our protocols, and we're going to be fair and reasonable to the dog to make sure that we don't provoke him into a resource guarding behavior. And anytime he offers it, obviously we're going to correct it. But it's very important that if we're not going to tolerate resource guarding from a dog, it's very important that we are fair to him and we're not doing things that provoke him to feel like he has to resource guard. And that includes things like never feeding dogs around other animals or other dogs, never feeding dogs around children. When it's dinner time for the family, the dog is put away in the crate. No feeding the dog from the table, no feeding the dog scraps, no letting the dog clean up underneath the child's high chair or anything like that. We need to have very, very crystal clear boundaries when it comes to appropriate behavior around food or any valuable resource when it comes to a dog with resource guarding tendencies or any kind of history about trying to guard a valuable resource, because we just don't have wiggle room with these kinds of dogs. It's a major safety issue. That being said, when we are super consistent with our safety protocols, we have massive success with these dogs.